Hi everyone, it's 10:33 a.m. on Sunday the 20th of November 2022. So this video is in relation to a video that went up a couple of days ago, entitled "More Harassing from Darwen Police, They're Making Me Depressed and Unwell." So I thought I would give a little bit of background to that video and what was actually going on for me at that time, because I may have been at home on the phone to the police. Not this kind, well, I mean, they're all the same, aren't they? My dad says they all PISS in the same pot. That's what my dad says. So anyway, I can't remember what time it was that happened. I probably put it on the video, and in fact I can check whilst I'm talking so you can get the whole idea. It was Tuesday. Which was the 15th, wasn't it? I think it was the 15th. No, it was Wednesday. Yeah, it was Wednesday, sorry. It was the 16th, that video. And that was 15:47. So 3:47 in the afternoon. So I was on the phone to a DC, and who obviously isn't involved in the neighbourhood team, and she keeps telling me she can't get involved in the neighbourhood team stuff. And I've actually said to her, like, because I know she can't, I've never once asked her to get involved, but I'd emailed her, I think it was the day before, because obviously the neighbourhood team have targeted me since PS Police Sergeant Lisa Scorah joined the team last summer. Before that, there was a sergeant there called Sean Pearson, and they seemed to be more proactive towards the daily harassment that I was suffering from a group of neighbours for up to 12 hours a day. Now, Lisa Scorah came along, never spoke to me, but took an instant dislike to me and decided that her team weren't going to deal with it, and they were going to basically target me and make me out to be the one in the wrong. Now, I won't go into the whole story, but this group of neighbours started to harass me based on a bunch of lies that one of my neighbours told. Now, this neighbour blank told these neighbours beforehand and didn't speak to any of them. And there were things going on, and this person wouldn't leave me alone. So I eventually rang the police because I'd had enough. It weren't stopping, it was actually getting worse. And I was like, I can't deal with this. My dad had spoken to them about some of the things, but it just kept carrying on and it got really bad. So I rang the police, and I kept having to ring the police because they kept saying, you're going to get a call back, you're going to get a call back. I got a call back, nothing happened. And then eventually on the 1st of March 2021, PC Harry Stainton 8681, the one who you saw me getting out of my house whilst he was accusing me of things that I haven't done, that I can prove I haven't done, but, you know, he's not been able to deal with me since last summer, and he's actually lied about me. But anyway, we won't go into that. I'll do another video about that because there's a lot that's gone on. But basically, ever since that day that he rang me on the 1st of March, he went to see them, and instantly, as soon as the police went, they went to the only neighbour that they spoke to and told them a bunch of lies, and then that neighbour got another neighbour involved, who got another neighbour involved. And then I was hounded every day with like up to 15 adults at a time outside my house whilst I'm in the house by myself. Couldn't go in the kitchen because my kitchen's at the front of the house and that's where they would stand, and I felt too scared of them. And I didn't leave the house until this year. Like, the only times I left the house last year, and I never left alone because I was too scared, and I would only leave if they weren't around, was to get vaccinations when my last dog got really ill, and when I went to start seeing my new dog. So I left the house less than 20 times in total in an entire year because of what they did. I couldn't work, I couldn't have a social life, I couldn't do anything because of that. Now, the police didn't do anything about it. They refused to view the majority of the evidence. Even when they viewed evidence which proved beyond a reasonable doubt what was going on, they didn't deal with it. and it just got worse and worse and worse, and the police didn't basically refuse to deal with it. Anyway, ever since Lisa Scorah came along, they've attended about twice, even though I'm reporting up to 10 things a day, if not more. And I don't report everything because, A, if you do it on the online form, which is easier than ringing, because when you ring, I get abuse as soon as they find out who I am because they've put a load of crap on the system about me. I do record all the calls with the call takers, and I've had such abuse off them that you'd be shocked, or may not be shocked, if you've had to deal with the abuse that you can get. So I do it online, and the problem with online is it could take up to 20 minutes to fill an online report out because of the detail that they want. I find it mentally draining because if it's something bad and I'm having to relive it in a stupid form, it's exhausting. And also, when you do upload evidence, they ring you or they contact you. Well, if they do, because they've really ever contacted me saying, can we have the videos because we don't get it on the online reports. And also, you can only report one thing at a time. So if 20 things have happened and it's taken 20 minutes to report, I'm not going to do 20 reports because it's going to take hours to do. I'm also going to be so mentally drained, I'm probably going to end up wanting to end my life because that's how much they're affecting me. And they know they're affecting me, the people that are doing it, because they laugh and joke about how they think I feel, and they say things like, we hope that she basically, I don't know what you can say on YouTube, but they're saying that they hope that I use a sharp object to cut certain things, these kind of things. So they know what they're doing. So the police do nothing basically, and I probably only report 20% of what goes on because it's just a nightmare. And if I do ring up, if I do dare ring up and I do get someone who actually listens to me, well, when I say listen, they won't let me tell them all the incidents. They just get me off the phone and say an officer will be in contact, which they never are. Right? So the most recent thing is the neighbours are stamping their feet for 1 or 2 seconds, knowing that the camera, if it's going to trigger, because it doesn't always trigger, if it's going to trigger, it does it about 2 seconds after the noise, because obviously a noise is made or a motion is detected, it doesn't instantly there and then trigger. That's not how Ring cameras work. It takes a couple of seconds to come on, and they're all aware of it because they all have Ring cameras. So they're stamping the feet once or twice and then carrying on walking normally. So by the time the camera comes on, if it comes on, all you do is see them walking. So I'm submitting online reports, and I didn't do it when it first started because at first it was only once or twice a day, and then it got to the point where there were some days it was 20 times a day, and it was stressing me out because not only does the Ring doorbell go off, like the alert, it goes off on my phones. We've also got the Ring chime in our house. If you've got a Ring camera, you'll know what that is, which is extremely loud. And also it sets the Alexas off. So the Alexas, multiple Alexas, will say there's motion at the front door loudly. I have severe anxiety, I have depression, and I have PTSD. So having that constantly all day is affecting my mental health. So I started to report it. And in the reports, I state they stamp the feet, and by the time the camera activates, they're walking normally. So I just include the clip of them walking past to show who's done it. So the police are basically saying that I'm filing false harassment reports because they're not seen doing it. Well, no, because I've said that they're stamping the feet and then the camera goes off, and then by the time the camera activates, they've stopped doing it and they're just walking normally. So, do you know what I mean? I'm actually saying that. So they're saying that I'm filing false reports, which is not actually true. Now, I can't obviously put these videos on here because the police, because it's me, will be on me like a ton of bricks saying you're showing these people. I have every right to show these people who've made my life a living hell for almost 2 years now. But that's the police, one side investigating, because I'm not a teacher or a social worker or a doctor or a paramedic or a priest or whatever. They're targeting me. And because it's a group of them, instead of dealing with the group, they're just like, you know what, she's a vulnerable adult. She's not going to stick up for herself. We'll just target her. We know she's suicidal because she's putting in the reports that the police are making her suicidal. So we'll just keep targeting it to her. And that's why they keep turning up. There's another reason why they keep turning up, and I'll do another video about that. So on Wednesday, I'm on the phone to a DC. In fact, I had a really great afternoon. First, I was on the phone to a detective inspector from Unprofessional Standards who rung me. And before she told me she was a detective inspector, I knew from the way she was talking, they must all get trained the same and they must all talk the same way. So anyway, I was on the phone to her. My phone started ringing whilst I was on the phone to her. Private number. Now, I knew this DC was going to ring me that day, but I obviously didn't know what time. So I knew it was her, but obviously I couldn't end the call to Unprofessional Standards because she was dealing with abusive staff. And I'll put a video up of the last abusive phone call I had for Unprofessional Standards from Adrian Jolly from Unprofessional Standards at Hutton in Preston, who was disgusting towards me, and I will put that video up. She was meant to email me to request that video, which she's not done yet, the inspector. Anyway, when I get off the phone from the inspector, I emailed the DC because apparently the phone lines at the police station don't work according to this DC, and they've got issues, and they've had issues since I've been talking to her since, I think, the start of September. Anyway, they've got these issues, which I would have thought would have been priorities to fix because, you know, you're meant to be able to get hold of DCs and stuff, but they've not sorted, so I don't know what's going on there. BT, you need to sort it out if there is an issue. So anyway, she rung me, she's on the phone to me, and I'm already really stressed out and upset and very low mood because of PC Stainton and his bullying tactics. And she's talking to me. I don't know how long she was on the phone for when the ring doorbell goes off. Now, I instantly know it's the police because there's no one due at my house. I've got no deliveries due, nothing. So I knew it was the bullies back again. Now, on Tuesday, I actually had emailed the DC asking her to phone me, and then later in the day, oh no, Wednesday. Oh, she replied Tuesday. I don't know what time. I didn't even see the email till late on. So then early hours of Wednesday morning, because I couldn't sleep after what PC Stainton did, which if you've all seen the video, it's currently got over 2,000 views as I'm filming this. I couldn't sleep. I was in a really dark place that day. I'm still very, very low because of the constant bullying from the police. So I'd emailed her because she asked me if she said I can either ring you Wednesday or Thursday, and I think she said whatever's best for you or something like that. So I said to ring me Wednesday because I wanted to speak to her. And then I said to her, and I'll read this out. I mean, if you want to screenshot it, I will read that out now. I'm struggling with my depression and was suicidal yesterday due to the Neighbourhood team bullying me and making false allegations because I filed a report against them. So this is what this is all about, them trying to give me a fine saying that I'm making false reports, which I can prove I'm not. It's because I've put a complaint in about them, which I'll do another video about because this video I don't want to be too long. They're abusing their power and making me so upset I wanted to take my life. If they continue to target me, I will take my life, and you can blame PC Stainton, PC Hulton, PS Scorah, Inspector Scott Bolst, PC Cookson, PC Beasley, and the entire PCS staff, especially Gail Hyde. They've done nothing but bully me, lie about me, threaten me and abuse their powers and ignore every single report when I file a complaint due to their effect on my mental health. They make up more lies and abuse their power again. This is why I have zero faith in anyone actually helping me, as this lot have continually affected my mental health, abused their power and gone against rules and regulations. Just so you're aware, the smallest thing will tip me over the edge due to what they've been doing to me for over a year since Lisa Scorah joined the team. Then I can't read some of the next paragraph because it talks about someone who isn't a police officer, but the last part of that paragraph I put, the Neighbourhood team have made it clear anyone can harm me and no one will help me as I speak up when I'm being treated unfairly by the police. This is wrong. And then the final paragraph says, I am not asking you to get involved with the Neighbourhood team. I'm just letting you know the effect they are having on me, not only with their behaviour towards me, but also how they continue to allow crime to happen against me and ignore every report, even when other people report the neighbours. It's disgusting what is happening to me, and now everyone is allowed to harm me and no one does anything about it. So that's what I'd said to her. So obviously she rang me back after I emailed her when I got off the phone with the detective inspector, and we were talking, and then the alert goes off because obviously someone's walking down my path. And then the doorbell went. As soon as that doorbell went, I knew 100% who it was going to be. And I also knew I wasn't going to answer the door because I'm not being bullied, I'm not being targeted, I'm not being made to feel intimidated and scared, because they're all bully boys. You know what they're like. They come in, you're on your own, and they start on you. And they treat you like crap. And they're like, well, we've got cameras on. Well, we all know how footage can mysteriously disappear, or they can say they had technical difficulties, or the bit where they're being abusive suddenly disappears from the footage. So you're not protected with those cameras. And I highly recommend, if you do ever have dealings with the police and you've never encountered bad behaviour from them, just record them. Even if you think, I'm never going to need it, just record them, just to be on the safe side, because they do turn on you. They are vile, and their camera, their footage can just disappear, and they can say they had issues with it. That's what happens, and that's what they do. So the Ring doorbell went off, and obviously the Alexa went off, and I think she was aware there was someone at the door, but she didn't initially mention it. But then I changed how I was talking, and she noticed that obviously I'd become very upset and stressed out. And I told her that the police were at the door, and she's like, what now? And I'm like, yeah. Because they were. I weren't going to say, oh, no, not now, 10 minutes ago. But yeah, they were. And she could tell from the way that I suddenly changed that that there was obviously an issue. And she was like, calm down, whatever. I think she was telling me not to get upset, but I was highly distressed at that point. And I told her about what they're accusing me of, and I'm like, I've got, I could prove what I've said in these reports. I've never said it's the incident, although one of the cameras was picking them up doing it, but you couldn't see the bottom half of it because there's a hedge around the house, and they're aware of this hedge, so they know they can stamp their feet all along the hedge, and it won't pick up on the camera. So here you go. And I told her what the police were doing. And she's always like, I can't get involved, blah, blah, blah. But they're basically calling me a liar, which I'm not. Anyway, I said, if they carry on, I'll kill myself, because I will. I don't care anymore. The police neighbourhood team have pushed me to the point of suicide. So after I got off the phone to her, I can't remember what I did immediately. But I did email her, and I had actually planned on talking to you about other things, but with the police turning up, knowing they're making me suicidal, and you knowing what I said to, or I spoke to the detective chief inspector, knowing what I said to, I won't say his name, it threw me, and I was extremely anxious and upset after those two bullies came to my house. So I did have other things I wanted to discuss, so you know. Then I put, if the neighbourhood team turn up one more time, I will take my life. They're aware of this. I put it in my online reports how they are making me feel. So clearly they're trying to push me to do it. I cannot cope with their abuse of power. And that was the end of the email. Then I think I rang 101 because I then discovered they'd put either a white envelope or a white piece of paper through the letterbox. But the dog shredded it. I have a husky, she shreds everything. She's chewed up loads of things that have been put through that letterbox. She's chewed up parcels. So I didn't know they'd put anything through the letterbox because I wasn't by the door. I was in here with my back to the door talking to the DC. So I rang 101 and I said, I think they've put a note through the door asking me to contact them. I mean, I don't know why they don't just ring me, but well, I do know, because they want to intimidate me, because they know I have severe anxiety. My doctors wrote to them about how they caused me severe anxiety, and she didn't want them near me, basically. So they know they caused me anxiety just by turning up. They also know I'm suicidal because of their behaviour. So they keep turning up to affect my mental health, because they know I'm at the edge and I'm close to doing it. I'm close to ending it. So I ring 101 and explain that they've put a note through my door. I don't know what it says because it's literally shredded. In fact, the dog had eaten some of it. So I got on this call taker. She's like, let me put you on hold and I'll try to see what's going on. And I did record this, and that video is going to go up actually, because this call taker seems to think she's in charge of me and the world and wasn't very nice about it. So she eventually came back on and said that she'd radioed through to this PC and it was going to come back. Bear in mind that I've told her that they're making me feel suicidal and they know not to attend due to how they make me feel. And I was like, I don't want them here. Well, you have to be there. You have to answer the door when they come back. And I'm like, I'm not going to be here because of how they're making me feel. And she wouldn't listen to me. And I said, if they come back, I'll commit suicide. And I said, I'm recording this and I can prove what I'm saying. And I weren't getting anywhere with her because she's a cold taker and apparently she's in charge of the entire universe. They have really bad attitudes, a lot of these cold takers, and it's disgusting. So this was like 4 something in the afternoon. It's dark outside. I've not been outside whilst it's been dark for a very long time due to the neighbours and being petrified of them. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have to leave the house because this bully boy cop is going to come back and scare me to death and probably push me over the edge. So I get the dog's harness on and leave. And I was in a right panic. I'm thinking, what if they're just round the corner? What if they're here? Like, I didn't want to come across them as I'm leaving the house. I didn't want to come across them in my car because they would just stop me. And I was petrified. So I drove somewhere. Because I went looking for my dad. I don't know why, because he's really any help. And it ended up that I was parked 3 cars behind him. And I didn't realise. I just went to one of the places he might be, although I didn't actually believe he was going to be there. But I thought I just need to go and park somewhere and ring him and find out where he is. So park up 3 cars behind him. And the reason I couldn't see him is because right in front of me was a 4x4. I think if the 4x4 weren't there, I may have seen his car. And also it was pitch black by this point. So I ring him up and I'm like, where are you? And he told me and I'm like, no you're not. And he's like, well I am. And I'm like, but I'm there. Because I literally didn't see the car. He's like, I am. Anyway, I talked to him and he knew what had gone on because obviously he gets the Ring camera alerts. And I was like, I was on the phone to the police and they turn up. Like, and he knows they're bullying me and he knows why. And I went, I don't want to go home, I feel unsafe. And I said a lot more stuff. And I said, like, I really don't want to go home, but I don't want to be outside the home because the later I leave it, the harder it will be to get home. Because luckily when I left, the main harassers, there's 2 main harassers, one who caused it and the one that they've gotten heavily involved who does a lot of the harassing on their behalf. They weren't home when I left, but they were going to be home at some point. So I said, I'll ring 101. And by the way, I'm sat in my freezing cold car. My battery's about 16% on my phone. So whilst I was on to 101 waiting to get through, I got a reply off the DC to that email that I just read out. And she put, and I didn't read this until I'd got off the phone to 101 again, but she basically put, I've just spoken to the neighbourhood team. They attended your address today in order to deliver the notice that they tried to deliver to you yesterday. Well, firstly, I've got the videos up on here. They didn't actually try and give it me. He just stood outside my house, staring at his whatever, and he couldn't do it, right? He also wouldn't listen to me when I tried to explain that I'd not filed false reports because he didn't want me to say it because he was recording. And also, I didn't hear what he was saying because I was talking over him, getting him out of the house. So he didn't properly caution me like he was trying to do. He didn't explain it to me. And also, they're fully aware that they need an appropriate adult present when they do anything like that. So, you know, they might want to reconsider what they're doing here. So she put, they have no reason to reattend unless you make a report to the police which requires assistance. Well, they were attending, they were threatening to attend because that cold taker said he was coming back. And also when I do ring and if I do need police attention, 99% of the time they don't actually turn up and they let it carry on whatever's happening. Then she put, the neighbourhood team do not want to make you anxious and certainly do not want you to harm yourself. Well, they do because in every report, which I can prove, I've screen recorded them. And I will start putting the screen records up as well, just to prove I'm putting in the reports how the neighbourhood team have making me feel. So they're reading them and then they're targeting me. And then she put, I'll speak to you next week as planned, right? So then I get this call taker who says, basically was like, there's no report on the system. I don't know who attended. So she basically weren't going to do any digging around like a decent call taker would do. And she's like, if they come again, you don't have to answer the door. And I'm like, do you know what I mean? The damage will be done by that point because obviously they're affecting my mental health and if they turn up, you know. So she basically didn't want to know and just said that you don't have to answer the door and that was it. So I spoke to my dad again, who refused to actually come and sit with me. And I said, I'm going to have to go home because the longer that I'm away from home, the harder I find it. And by this point, my main harasser had returned home, unfortunately. But luckily, they weren't there when the police attended. Because the police are fully aware of this. When the police attend, no matter what reason they attend for, even if they just drive on the street to see if there's anything going on, I get targeted by the neighbours because they blame me for the police attending. So the police know that I'm now going to get targeted. Even though, yeah, the main harassers weren't around when they attended, other people were around and other people saw it. So I get targeted because the police attended. So they know that. So they're deliberately getting me targeted by the neighbours. So when I get off the phone to 101 again, I believe this was before I came home, I replied to her. I don't know if this was before I came home or not. I think it was just after I came home. So I replied and I put, they didn't try to deliver a notice, they couldn't print it, which is fact. And I've got the fact because I've got footage of that. Whatever they put through the door was shredded by the dog. Facts. I mean, unless they want the little pieces back. I rang 101 and explained this as I thought it was something asking me to phone them. The call taker then radioed the police officer and told him to come back. The call taker then stressed me out and told me he was coming back, which I requested did not happen due to how they affected my mental health. The call taker told me I had no choice and had to see him, so I said I'll kill myself if he came back and put the phone down. I've left my house with the dog, so I must have sent this before I returned. In fact, I think I typed this as I was on the phone waiting for the call taker to answer. I've left my house with the dog, which I never do at this time, but right now I'm more scared of those two police officers than my neighbours. As the neighbourhood team are lying about me and attacking me all the time. My battery's low on my phone and I'm physically unwell, but not going home with the threat of those bullies coming back. So then, obviously, I then talked to the call taker after that and came home. So then I sent this one when I came home and I put in response to, she replied and then she put, there is no reason for you to leave your home. As I have explained, I spoke with the neighbourhood team and there is no reason for them to return to your address. There is no reason for you to leave your house because of this. So she's obviously sticking up for them because they're coppers. So then I replied with what I just showed you and I put, and this is when I'd returned home. The call taker told me those PCs were coming back to see me as the dog shredded whatever they put through the door. Looked like a letter as there was part of a white envelope there. I'm not being bullied like this and this is unfair. They are causing me such anxiety and low mood. They are targeting me. They are where attending harms my mental health, yet they've been here various times in a row, banging on the door and ringing the doorbell. That's wrong. I'm not making false reports as they've lied about, and they will see me in court as I'm not being bullied or targeted by them anymore. I have a phone they can ring me on. I do not want them at my house, and if they turn up, I will end my life. I told that to the call taker and she did not care. I did ring 101 again not long ago, and the second call taker couldn't find the log as I had not been given a reference number. She did say if they turn up, I didn't need to answer the door, but the damage will be done if they attend one more time. I've gone home, and only because I'm scared of being outside when it's dark and I'm cold. Because I'm scared of being outside because basically the neighbours. So they didn't turn back up again, but my mood's as low as it can get. My anxiety is horrific. Like, I can't cope with how anxious I am. I'm nervous and I'm upset. I've not filed false reports. I've said they've triggered the camera and the footage of them is walking away after they triggered the camera. I've never once said they're doing it in the images. So they're lying and they're targeting me. PC Beasley, whoever that is targeting me about these reports. Now, a decent copper would ring me up and say, I can't see what's happening. Do you have any other footage? And I'd be like, no. They're stamping their feet for 1 or 2 seconds knowing that they can do that before the camera will trigger and then they're walking away. And 80% of the time it's triggering the camera, if that, because it doesn't always trigger it, but we can hear the stamping of the feet and then some of the time the camera then activates. And that's what I would have told him. I've even made it clear in reports that they're stamping the feet and by the time the camera activates, they're just walking away. So them saying that I'm filing false reports is wrong. Now, I filed a report about the police behaviour not last week, the week before. Then all of a sudden they're targeting me like this, claiming that I'm filing false reports, which I can prove I'm not. I screen record every report that I put in due to lies that they've told about me before. They've said I've said things I haven't, and they've said things that I haven't said things. And also, I can prove that the police are liars because they tell me all the time that when I submit an online report and put a video on, they cannot access the videos. And they, like, I've had them contacting me saying, can we have the videos? We can't see them on the phone. So if that is actually true, that means that this cop isn't even watching the videos. And if it isn't true, it proves that countless police officers have lied to me when they're claiming that when I submit videos with online reports, they're claiming that they don't get them on the report. Then that's a lie as well. So either way, someone's telling a lie from the police, or numerous people are telling lies from the police. And I'll happily go through the hundreds of videos to find these recorded phone calls where they're telling me that they don't get sent the videos. I'll happily find them. I'm not being bullied by the neighbourhood team who refuse to deal with the actual issues and then just target me because they see me as being weak, because I am. I'm a vulnerable adult. They're meant to have an appropriate adult if they're accusing me of anything, which they didn't have. So I do not understand what they're actually trying to say to me. I do not understand anything that they're going to try and put through the door. And if anything from the police comes through the door, whether they post it through the door or hand it to me or whatever, I will commit suicide. And you can blame the neighbourhood team who are lying, PC Beasley, saying that these false reports are false. I can also tell you that my dad has also substantiated every report that I've made, and they're refusing to speak to him because they won't give him a ticket or try to give him a ticket because they don't see him as an issue, because he won't stand up for himself the way I do, because I'm not being bullied. I've had bullying from loads of police officers, and it all started with a DC called Melissa Chadwick years ago who made my life a living misery, and I tried to commit suicide on 3 occasions because of Melissa Chadwick. So I know exactly what the police are like. So my dad has rung up numerous times, and they have been recorded to prove he's saying these things, to substantiate every report that I've made and to explain about the camera, which we've done numerous times, how they stamp the feet a couple of times to get it to activate, and it doesn't always activate, but when it does, you just see them then walking normally, because they know how cameras work, because they've all got cameras on the house, and they're doing it knowing that by the time the camera activates, which takes a couple of seconds, that they're just seen walking away, if they're even seen at all, because they're doing it just before the hedge. So when they get in front of the hedge, they can't be seen. So he rung and he told them, and then he rung again and he told them again, and he was given a sergeant's phone number, and he's left messages with the sergeant, and the sergeant's ignoring him because they don't want him to substantiate the reports that I've made, because then they'll have to go after him, which they won't do. So then it'll prove that it's a one-sided bullying campaign against me. So he has left one more message for PC Beasley, he's been told he's now off till Monday, and he's going to contact him several times Monday morning, which is tomorrow, which I think this is the day this video is going to go up. And then if you don't get hold of him by lunchtime, he's then going to ring and ask to speak to his supervisor. And then if the supervisor doesn't ring by a certain point, then I think he's going to go public. So, because he's aware of what's going on, he's also aware of the police targeting me. Now, I'm not the only target of these neighbours. They're targeting another family who has an elderly woman with dementia living with them. And there's been a lot of harassment with them. Now, they've not had it as long as me. It started this year. And there was an incident where I had to ring 999 because of how out of hand they got and with the threatening abusive behaviour. And the police, the neighbourhood team, refused to deal with it even though we have video evidence, and they laughed and joked about it when they came back to speak to them, which I've got evidence of. Cameron, whatever your last name is, I can't remember your last name, PC Cameron something. In fact, whilst I finish this video up, I will find, I think it's Cameron Sutcliffe actually, PC Cameron Sutcliffe. I'm just going on the Lancashire Police website to find the police officers. Blackburn with Darwen Police, because it's got their mugshots on here. Cameron Sutcliffe, PC 6080. I've had dealings with him. He's been quite vile towards me. Very unprofessional. Oh, and I tell you what, I can tell you a lot about all these officers. Maybe I'll do separate videos about how horrifically they've all treated me. Especially the PCSOs, absolutely disgusting behaviour. You'd think they were chief of police. PCSO 7403 Gail Hyde, plenty to say about Gail Hyde and her unprofessionalism. Trying to see what this PC Beasley looks like. Oh yeah, my dad's trying to speak to Sergeant Dundon. Or is it David Dutton? It's one of those two, because there's Sergeant David Dutton and Sergeant Stephen Dundon. And I don't know which one it is, because they've got very similar names. It could be Dutton or Dundon, because my dad keeps calling him Dunn, so it could be Dundon. Oh, Sergeant Lisa Scorah. She's very disgusting towards me. So there's no PC Beasley, so they've obviously made him up. But he's a liar and abuser of power. So if the sergeant doesn't respond by lunchtime tomorrow, because he's going to ring him several times, he's then going to request to speak to the inspector, and he's going to put even though we all know it's pointless, he's going to put complaints in, because obviously he substantiated every report I've put in, and they don't want him to. So there you go. So that's what we're up to. I will do more videos about all the other stuff. I'm just not going to do them today, because I'm finding it very upsetting and stressful to talk about all this, and it's taking a massive toll on my mental health. But I will do more videos. But I did want to explain the story behind the video that I posted the other day. What day was it? I don't know what day it was. It's called More Harassing from Darwen Police. They're making me depressed and unwell. It went up on the 17th, which would have been Thursday, wouldn't it? Yeah. So if I've got it right, I don't have any videos scheduled for tomorrow, which is Monday the 21st. If not, this is the video that's going to go up on the 21st. So I've got one scheduled for today, which is the police coming to bully me part 2. That's going to go up in 50 minutes at 12 p.m. And then obviously the one that I'm filming now is going to go up Monday. Tuesday is either going to be more ring camera footage, which requires a story time, because it involves a PC who shouldn't be attending, but attended very late at night. And I don't know if there's 1 or 2 videos regarding that, but so it's either going to be those 2 for Tuesday, Wednesday, but which would mean Thursday's video will mean an explanation about this PC, or if I'm going to do other videos explaining the situation. If anyone has any hints or tips or things that I can do to deal with the police and also prove that the reports I've made aren't lies, please let me know. I do have a solicitor, but obviously because I've had a solicitor all this time and the police have stopped me from earning money, obviously I don't get it for free, and I can't afford to constantly have contact with the solicitor. I tell him everything so he's aware of it, but obviously I can't get involved in everything, because I'm going to end up with the world's biggest bill. How do I pay that? And the police are aware of that, and that's why they do things knowing that I'm going to go straight to him. So I tell him things and he does give me advice, but obviously I can't get him to do everything, like contact people, because that means my bill's just going to get bigger, and it is quite a big bill at the moment. And the police have caused me to earn less because they stopped me from earning a living by taking my phones off me. I do have them back now, but the damage has been done with how I earn money. So they're actually stopped me from earning a living, basically, and affording to live. And they've given me a fine that, even if I don't even know how much it is because I've not had the paperwork, I can't afford to pay it. And they know that, because they know they've stopped me from earning a living. So not only are they making me suicidal, they're allowing me to be trapped in my house by my neighbours, because even though I can leave now, I'm restricted to days and times that I can leave. Weekends are impossible. And also they've stopped me from earning any money. So they've took my life away from me, the neighbourhood team. They've took my life, they've took my living, earnings. So, you know, I don't have anything to live for, and it is because of the Darwen neighbourhood team. So if anyone's got any advice or things that I can do, or people who can help that don't cost any money, or any kind of suggestions, please let me know, because I can do with as much help as I can get, because they're targeting me all the time, the neighbourhood team, and they're allowing me to be targeted. They've got videos of my neighbours threatening to kill me. They've not done anything about it. They've just let it continue. So Any help would be greatly appreciated. And if you've got to this point, thank you for sticking with the video, and I'll be back with some more videos.